In today's video, we're going to talk about what weekday weight loss is. We're going to do it in 4 steps. So firstly, what is weekday weight loss? Why it works, why it's smart, and why it's different. And just to qualify myself, weekday weight loss is a process that I used to lose 50 pounds when I was really overweight and didn't have enough energy to play with my kids 4 years ago. So I lost that weight, kept it off for 3 years, and then in January this year, I actually formalized it into a kind of formal kind of coaching program. And we did a challenge with about 40 people, and we had a bit of fun in January for 10 weeks. And, you know, what I'm going to teach you today is why the ideas of weekday weight loss make sense. And then if you hang around to the end, I'm going to invite you to join in the fun. Alrighty, so let's kick off with what is weekday weight loss? And it's very simple. It's exactly what it says on the tin. You lose your weight during the week and then you eat normally at the weekend. So it's a little bit like the 2-5 diet. You have 2 really aggressive days and 5 regular days. But this is more the 5-2 where you have kind of 5 days where you lose the weight during the week and then at the weekend you kind of chill out. So it's very simple. Most people's, their energy needs bump around, but generally we have something that we call your maintenance. So for a guy, it might kind of be 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 calories, somewhere in that range. And for a woman, it could be anywhere from kind of 1,800 to 2,400 to about 3,000. That would be the kind of general range. And that is their maintenance, the weight that kind of the amount of calories that maintains their weight. And what we simply do is we just go down here Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we eat normally. And this gap here is what we call the deficit. This is our weekly deficit, and that's an energy shortfall. And when your body is faced with that energy shortfall, it has to fuel it somehow, and generally it fuels it with fat, maybe a little bit of muscle mass, but generally if you've got a fair bit of weight on, this will be primarily fat loss, and that is what we do. We go in, we create our deficit, come out at the weekend and chill out. And there's some very good science explaining why we do this, but I've actually formalized it into a full kind of blown program because I have found that doing this, how we get this done, I think this is an absolute art form, and it can be, for me, it's the absolute key to losing weight and keeping off, and for a lot of my clients, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, in this next section, we're going to talk about why it works. And, you know, this idea of having 5 low days and then 2 high days during your week, kind of calorie cycling, is not new in any stretch of the imagination. And it's in fact exactly what some of the leanest people in the world use to get very, very lean. When I was kind of 50 pounds overweight and I actually got serious about the idea of losing weight, the first thing that I started doing was reading tons and tons about kind of natural bodybuilders. Not because I'd ever want to look like a bodybuilder, but simply because they can get to 5% body fat when most people on commercial weight loss programs are struggling to get below 20%. So these people really know what they're doing. And what they do is they have 5 low days, 2 high days, as I'll show you in a study here, and basically they just get up, set that going, and then they make very small gradual adjustments to keep their progress going over time. So this idea of having 5 low days and 2 high days, it's very well understood in the physique world and natural bodybuilding world. And all I've done is make sure that the 2 high days are at the weekend because it's a little bit easier, and there's actually some good evidence showing that putting your 2 high days together will give you a bit better chance of kind of protecting your metabolic rate with a bit of a kind of, you know, carb spike to look after your leptin and these things. So in this section, we're going to talk about why this idea of having 5 low days and 2 high days is actually pretty smart. So the reason that people have been doing it in the physique world for years and years is simply because they thought that spiking the carbohydrates 1 or 2 days a week, would actually help kind of protect their metabolism a little bit from the downgrading that you get as you lose weight. And anecdotally, people found it a lot easier to get lean when they started adding in what they call these refeeds, these 2 kind of refeed days where you deliberately eat more carbohydrates. So we know from kind of anecdotes that people have found this easier, but there was never much decent research. Recently, there's been some studies showing that actually, you know, these leptin spikes do exist, so that's good. But also, there are a couple of studies that actually showed some real benefits in terms of kind of protecting your metabolic rate and kind of improving adherence. There are 2 in particular. So there was one that compared just steady weight loss, just staying on the diet continuously, to using exactly the same calories for kind of spreading it out where they had 11 days on and then 3 days off. And what they found was the people who did, the women that did 11-3, Although they ate the same amount of calories as the people in a steady group, they actually lost more weight and they kept it off a little bit easier. And they posited the idea that it actually had helped protect their basal metabolic rate, so that it had slowed some of this downgrading. So that's, that's a little bit of evidence, not the strongest evidence in the world, but this idea that it might help protect your metabolic rate a little bit is particularly attractive in the long run. Not so much, these small amounts of weight in the short run, but in the long run, this idea of helping you keep that weight off is a really good idea. And then obviously the 2-week study where they went 2 weeks into the deficit, 2-week break, 2 weeks into the deficit, this had really kind of profound differences between the intermittent group and the continuous group. And I'll throw up a graph now showing that basically they lost loads more weight and they had a much, much better job of keeping it off. Once again, they showed that it was kind of a little bit to do with protecting the metabolism, but also there is this idea that actually it just improved adherence to the diet. So the way I use this with clients is obviously we have the weekend off, that's part of it, but we also have cycles where we just take breaks for 2 or 3 weeks. And I use these at Christmas. I've just used them during the summer. People lose a bunch of weight, and then when they've got a holiday or they've got a social event or it's the kids' school holidays, you just take a break because it's wonderful for your metabolism. And if you can get back on, it just makes this whole process so much easier. Okay, and last up, we're going to talk about why this is different. Now, obviously, the thing that's different about this is you take the weekend off and you eat more at the weekend. And no, you don't go out and just have a massive cheat day and eat 10,000 calories. You just eat normally at the weekend. And, people think that we have to be on the diet all the time. But actually, the evidence shows us that this is not the case. And in fact, the moment in my life when I decided I was going to make this into a formal program was I read this study where it showed that actually eating less during the week and eating more at the weekend is a totally normal kind of week rhythm for people who lose weight. So there's a study called weekly weight rhythms, and what they showed was that the difference between people who gain, maintain, and lose weight was not so much at the weekend. Everybody tends to eat more at the weekend. It's natural, it's social. People eat more at the weekend. It's just how it is. The difference was the people who had really good constraint during the week and lost weight during the week, those are the people that lost weight. And it was really clear. So if you can nail how you kind of lose weight during the week and really get good at eating filling food. The way we do it is we just focus in on kind of really filling meals, and then at the weekend you just eat a bit more junk or you eat a bit more social, you have bigger kind of restaurant meals with your friends. Without going crazy, that is a totally normal way to eat, and it's really sustainable. And this is absolutely key with anything that you do in weight loss, regardless if you get interested in this. Whatever you do, if you do keto, if you do intermittent fasting, if you do low fat, if you do low carb, doesn't matter. Regardless of what you're doing, you need to find something sustainable, because to lose weight and keep it off, some of the changes that you make must be permanent, because otherwise you'll just gain the weight back, because we have really strong mechanisms in our body that downgrade our energy expenditure and upgrade our hunger. If we don't make some permanent changes, then we will simply regain the weight. So it is a very normal way to do things. We are not swimming upstream, we're running with the flow, and that is why it's different. So you're still here. So I thought I might ask you if you'd like some help with this. In January, I ran this group and, we had some really interesting results, and I'm starting a new challenge again. And there's going to kind of be monthly challenges, so you can kind of jump in and out whenever you want. You are going to get 4 things, and you kind of be able to do this along with a small group of people around the world. So you will be getting the system. This is kind of a membership website that explains kind of how we set this up and how to build your own weekday weight loss plan. You'll be getting support every week inside our kind of private Facebook group. I do a Friday video where I'm going to tackle a subject around this and weight loss, and then I do kind of Q&A for the client so everyone can benefit from them. We also have a small kind of section of recipes on the website. I'm going to be building this out in the challenges kind of at the kind of request of everyone. There's a few meal plans and food lists as well. And then finally, sort of doing something different for this challenge. So we're going to move to this monthly model instead of 10-week challenges, because that was the feedback. And what we're going to add is a monthly magazine. So basically, each challenge is going to have a theme, and we're going to have a kind of, on the first of each month, you'll get that magazine. So what I did with this in the past was in January, we had kind of two prices, one with a bit of coaching. I think that was $197, and then American, and then to do the challenge, it was $97. And something that really bugged me about those prices kind of after the fact was that everybody had to pay that price to start. That's fine. But some people got really great results. They got incredible value for money. It was brilliant. But a few people did struggle, and those people had paid all that money and not got great results. And that kind of bugged me. So what I've done is I've shifted to a monthly model where you can jump in, and if it doesn't work out for you, you can just quit. And if it's really working for you, you just kind of stay with us and you'll get great value. So basically, the people who lose a bunch of weight and get great value will stay with us. They'll pay more. And the people who struggle, and if it doesn't work out, they can just jump out after a month and it will cost them, the cost of a cup of coffee a week. So what we're doing to begin with is a really cheap price. It is going to be American $19 per month. That's really, really dirt cheap. I'm going to up the price when the website is more developed. But basically, I just want to get a bunch of people in, keep testing it, kind of go through this monthly process, keep it at a cheap monthly price, maybe up a little bit. But then, if people are getting great value, they'll stay with us. If it's a bad fit for them, they can just quit at any time. No strings attached, $19 a month. It is a really, really clever system. If you get it going, it's just wonderful. Like, we went to Italy years and years ago. Before I started losing this weight, we had this amazing kind of pizza 3-4 nights a week. And my kids, when we came back, were like, we want pizza. And so I started making actual kind of proper Italian pizza every Friday night. And I managed to continue that all the way through my weight loss journey. I lost 50 pounds. I was eating Friday night pizza every week. We watch an animation. I'd eat some chocolate and some popcorn as well. And the reason I could do that is because I was hammering away the filling food during the week. And then on Friday night, Saturday, and then a bit more constrained on Sunday, I would just eat more food. And it worked wonders for me. It's working for a lot of people in our group. And if you're interested, go check out the page and see if it is something for you. I really hope to see you on the inside. Talk to you later.